Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching the Next Genius webinars. Today, we'll be covering a very interesting topic that is financial technology. Fintech or financial technology, what is it? It is used to describe new tech that seeks to improve and automate the delivery and use of financial services. Fintech now includes different sectors and industries such as education, retail, banking, fundraising, and nonprofit and investment management, to just name a few. When fintech emerged in the 21st century, the term was initially applied to the technology employed at the backend systems of established financial institutions. So, to know more about financial technology or fintech, we have Vaibhav Mandhana with us, and he is mainly going to cover or talk about careers in financial technology. Welcome, Vaibhav, to Next Genius webinars.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ellen. How are you?
I'm doing great, Vaibhav.
Great. Thank you for calling us. So just to give you a quick short background about myself, I'm Vaibhav Mandhana, chartered accountant. So I have close to 12 years of experience as a chartered accountant. And earlier I was working for this company called Grant Thornton Consulting Firm. And just 5 years back, we started with our own fintech firm, which is called as Finance Lookup Advisors. Not to take much of the time on we can continue with the discussion on fintech. So that's more useful for the audience.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav. Moving on to the main question. So, I gave a brief introduction of fintech. Now, could you tell us more about what is financial technology, also known as fintech?
Okay, so essentially, fintech is nothing but a combination of finance and technology. Okay, and this is so common nowadays that everything that we hear every other day, say a cryptocurrency, right? Everyone would have heard about, say, a Bitcoin, all the investment app, all the insurance technology app, or a loan, buy now pay later. All these essential, for that matter, accounting, robo advisory for investments. All these essentially would be covered under the domain of fintech. So maybe a financial services product or a financial services. If you're trying to use technology in any of these segments to improvise this, to improve the efficiency, or to bring a more customer better experience, would be categorized under fintech. So a compliance tech to an accounting tech to investment tech, everything is fintech, and that's on boom right now. Yeah.
Okay, now we got to know about fintech. Now, could you tell us with financial technology services, which are the fields that could be automated?
Uh, According to me, anything and everything in financial technology has an immense scope of getting optimized through the new technologies that we have. So we have, say, a RPA, which is called as a robotic process automation, or AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, or an optical character recognition. So these are essentially those technologies which can help us, getting these financial technologies automated. Okay, so for example, if you talk about earlier days, so we used to have a debit card. Then came first we used to have a check, then a debit card, then a credit card. Now we have a buy now pay later, a UPI. India is very advanced in terms of digital payments right now. UPI would be there, a digital payment. So, for example, earlier when you used to make an investment in stock markets, you used to go to the broker, sign a form, give a check, and everything. Now you can do all those things in a matter of seconds just by using any of these investments apps that are there. So investment is already to a very great extent covered by most of the fintech. Payments is something that people are working on. Compliance tech, there is a lot of robo advisory that is happening in the investment domain. So according to me, accounting, a lot of things are, I'll take an example in terms of accounting. What is happening is, earlier a person used to get an invoice, somebody used to check the invoice, process it into an accounting system, say a Tally or a SAP Oracle or somebody, and then a payment used to be made. Now even these things are automized. So whenever the client will send you an invoice, it will OCR will automatically help you read who has sent the invoice, how much is the invoice. System already knows that how much invoice should be there. So it wouldn't be the case that you're expecting $1,000 invoice, that somebody sends a $5,000 and that payment would be made. Those checks and controls are already there in place. Then it would get parked in Tally or an accounting system, and the payment on the due date that is defined in the system would be done. So the role in accounting compliance is immense scope in all these things, and everything could be automated in these areas.
Interesting, really interesting, Vaibhav. Could you tell us about the technologies extensively used by fintech companies?
So I'll take it from the complex and then move on to the simple ones. Blockchain technology is something that a lot of financial services companies are using at the moment to decentralize how finance industry works at the moment. Then you have, say, an artificial intelligence, machine learning. To an extent, we use very little of it, but RPA is something that we use, robotic process automation. So anything that's repetitive in nature and that's monotonous, that doesn't really require your I would say doesn't really require your brain to check each and everything, would get automated in that way. You have big data analytics, because all these fintech and all these payments would have hundreds and thousands and millions of line items would be there. So a lot of big data analytics is also something that could be there. So essentially a finance industry would include your, say, a banking, insurance, wealth advisory, stock market, debt market, portfolio. So if any person is looking out for making a career in these sectors which I just mentioned about banking, advisory, then it's utmost important for them to understand how technology is taking shape in these companies, because when they would be somebody who would be at an employable stage, they should be knowing these things so that they can get bring something more on the table as compared to what things are happening just being an employee.
Got it, Vaibhav. I know that a lot of students are watching this video right now. So, could you tell us if a student would like to take up fintech as a career, which are some of the courses or degrees they can specialize in?
So there are dual, there would be there are international courses also. I've heard about this course from Oxford that is also there. There are courses from Harvard. There would be courses from Udemy, Coursera. So everyone is offering courses on fintech, and especially say in a robo advisory space or investment space or some other space. You also have some not local, but Indian players there in the market, both state run and private. So an SP Jain would have a private course that they're running, but an IIM Calcutta or a BITS Pilani would have their courses on fintech. So these are some really good courses that will give you insight as to whether this is something that you're keen to do, whether fintech would be a space that you would be interested to do something in future.
Got it, Vaibhav. The next question is, what are the jobs a student can get with a degree in financial technology?
So somebody who's looking to make a career in finance, I would strongly suggest, because I am from that domain, I would strongly suggest that they should do something in fintech, because that will be the future. Or you may be redundant, in future if you don't have those skill sets. Newer opportunities are opening up. Say maybe example for a product development guy, somebody who wants to develop products in fintech market. So that is a very very big opportunity there, because every other startup or every other company would want to understand what are those what is the product that we can make, what is it that a demand supply chain would have, whether you want to make a buy now pay later card, or you want to come up with a credit card or a credit app or a loan tap app. Those are fields. In terms of career, I would just name a couple of them. A data analyst is a very common. Okay, say a product developer, financial analyst is there. Then you have data scientist. If you talk about a more complex one, a blockchain expert would be there, or a cyber security expert. So anyone who's looking at a fintech course, so I would want to, somebody would want to assess whether he's from the finance side of the fintech or he's from the tech side of the fintech. Because if you're more from a tech side, then a coder in terms of cyber security could also be useful. Somebody who can help in coding of these products. Vis-a-vis, if you're from the finance end of it, then a product development role would suit you better.
Thank you for sharing some career opportunities in the field of fintech, Vaibhav. Now we are really curious to know how your typical day looks like.
So my day is quite simple actually. So internally, in terms of so we run a partnership firm, and all the partners have some KRAs. So we have defined it at MMS. One would be mentoring. So one is we have to mentor all the team under us, because ultimately they are the people on the field who will help us in the product development or coming up with the queries that the client has. Because those are the things that we need to automate in future. Bring a product development. As I mentioned, mentoring. Second would be meeting clients. Most of it, because of COVID, is happening online. Meeting with the clients or tech members, because I'm not a tech guy, but we have technology team out there. So a lot of meetings happen with them. And third would be in terms of strategies, that which is the product that we need to make, which is the product that we need to develop in the future. So we are essentially a technology and an API, which is an application programming interface development company, which makes these APIs for other companies who would use it. So our essentially most of our time goes into product development and query solving. What is the new product that we can develop for somebody? Is what we are saying. What most of the partners KRA would be.
Superb. Now, could you help us in understanding some of the emerging trends in financial technology?
So some of them are quite evident, which even most of our audience would agree. You will see nowadays everything is only digital. So earlier it used to be you used to have a shop plus digital. Now things are moving, at least in the financial services space, to only digital. So you will have an only digital insurance company, a digit. I think Virat Kohli is the brand ambassador for it. So you'll have the only digital thing. Secondly, you will also have some banks which are only digital. So you have an open, it's called open technologies. Second is Jupiter. These are neo banks that are happening. Also, there are a lot of partnership that is happening between a fintech company and a bank, because a bank essentially would have all the licenses and regulatory requirements which would be required by the law, by the RBI, by the government of India. These would partner with fintech companies who are at a high growing stage to acquire more customers, and both would need each other's services. So these are the white label programs that are typically happening. Mobile wallets, all of us are aware about. But a consolidation of mobile wallets is what is happening nowadays. From a single QR code, you use whichever app, you are able to make a payment. Unlike earlier, it used to be separate code for everyone. There are a lot of blockchain finance and blockchain technology being used to get an information about anything and everything about your financial history. So if somebody wants to give you a loan through blockchain, they would come to know whether how much have you defaulted, when have you defaulted, whether you're defaulted or not defaulted. Uh, Immense amount of funding is happening in each of the areas. Just to mention a few, Razorpay is valued at $7 billion, $7.5 billion. You have Policy Bazaar, which already got listed on the stock market in India, which is worth more than $5 billion. You have investment apps, Grow, Upstocks, which are sponsoring our cricket are there. They are worth $3 billion. So, and there's a lot of potential. Going forward, there's a lot of potential, and that's the reason all the VCs, all the investors are bullish about and investing at such high valuations, even though they may be in losses.
Adding on to the previous question, Vaibhav, what do you think is the future of fintech and where do you see fintech in the next 5 years?
I would say whoever is looking out for that opportunity, this is the perfect time, not only for India, but for financial, the fintech space that we are talking about. Uh, Immense amount of opportunities are there. May you start with a simple RPA thing, or you start with a complex blockchain thing or a cryptocurrency thing. Everything. So the market out there is way too big to be captured by all these players, even put together. You may have only say a 10 unicorn that have come up in last year out of 42, which would be in fintech space. There would be hundreds that would come in next 5 years. So anyone who's looking out for doing a course in fintech, understanding more about fintech, I think it's the perfect time, and they shouldn't lose out on that opportunity, because in next 5 years also, fintech is there to stay, and fintech will always be there to stay. So if you just have a one insurance company that is only digital, you will have 10 after 5 years. Similarly, if you have only one company that is listed in terms of fintech, sorry, two are listed. One is Paytm is also listed, but Paytm would have Paytm is a conglomerate of not only fintech but all other things as well. So you'll have hundreds and hundreds of unicorn that would come out of fintech industry, and immense amount of scope and opportunities, investment, robo advisory. And if somebody who's even in the compliance side or only the product development side, immense opportunities. Not only so fintech is not only restricted to people who have knack towards technology or who can help you in coding or hardcore coding, that stuff. Even a finance guy, I would strongly recommend doing such courses, which will help them grow.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav. And with that, we come to the end of the session. Any final remarks or any suggestions to the students who are watching the video right now?
I think I covered that. If somebody is looking out to do something in finance, I would strongly recommend them to do something in fintech rather than restricting themselves to finance. And if obviously if they have that interest, then they should pursue it further. If not, then obviously there's no question about it. But if they are wanting to do something in finance, strongly recommend it from my experience.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav, for your advice and for joining us today. And with that, we come to the end of the session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.